Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Brock McNinch. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at Monmouth College, and I am joined by my colleague Jane. Jane, would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jane Schreck. I'm the Associate VP for Student Financial Planning, also known as Financial Aid. I am an alum of Monmouth College a few decades ago, and happy to be here tonight to visit with all of you.
So, we're going to talk about all things financial aid, scholarships, and I already see a bunch of questions coming through. So, we're excited about that. So, first off, we're going to try to go through as many of these as possible, of course. So the first question I just saw here is, what is Monmouth like? So we'll kind of sprinkle that in while we're talking today. Monmouth is a great place, small school, 800 students, tight knit community, liberal arts, and so there's a lot more, of course. And we'll get into the financial aid aspect of this. But if you really want to get questions about who is the college, what's it like there, talk to us in admission. We're happy to have those conversations. Definitely come and visit us too. And that'll give you a great idea of what it's like to be here. So let's get into those financial aid questions. This is a great one to start off with. Where do I find scholarships for college? Jane, what do you think is the good first step here?
Okay, well, there's several steps because there's several different types of scholarships. But first and foremost, I would recommend that every student file the FAFSA form, which is the free application for federal student aid on the studentaid.gov website. That is the most universal form used for all types of aid from the federal government, from the state government, and then the schools are using the results of the FAFSA to help us determine the assistance that we can give students as well. Um, we have academic scholarships, but we also have need-based grants and talent scholarships and all kinds of other things on campus. But the FAFSA helps us. So that would be my first recommendation. When you file the FAFSA, you're going to want to list the schools on the FAFSA that you want to share the results with. So at Monmouth, you would list Monmouth College. You can search our name and our um, state, Illinois, city, Monmouth, and add our code, which is 001725. If you are looking for private scholarships for things other than state and federal or institutional, if you want to look at all those clubs, organizations, community scholarships, companies, churches, civic organizations, I say that your high school guidance counselor is probably the best place to start for local scholarships. They are going to know all of those that are in the local area. And so some of you have a high school guidance counselor that puts things on the high school website. Other counselors, they want you to actually knock on their door and come talk with them and see them. So just figure out and make friends with your financial aid, or excuse me, your guidance counselor at the high school. And then there are a couple of search sites. If you want to search beyond your local community and you want to pursue private scholarships, um, there's a couple of ones that we recommend. Fastweb.com is one, and MyScholarly is another. And those are search sites. They're not the application process, but it's a way for students to create a profile for themselves and search a database of scholarships that they may qualify for so that you can then apply. So that's just a few sources.
Yeah, it's important to know that there are a ton of scholarships out there. It just involves a little bit of effort on your end to find a lot of those. So if you put that work in, you talk to the right people, you're going to get on the right track early. And it's best to start that now if possible, regardless of what grade you might be in. I know we have a mixture of people watching today. If you're a senior, yes, get started now, look for that. If you're a junior, it doesn't hurt to get started. Have that in the back of your mind so you're ready to go once it's ready for you to apply. So there's a lot out there, and definitely look for those. This next question is related, asking about GPAs for scholarships. So at Monmouth College, when you apply, every student is automatically reviewed for an academic scholarship here. So that is called our Dean Scholarship, and Jayne alluded to that at the beginning here. That scholarship will, of course, depend on your academics. But the good thing is, if you are admitted into the college, you are going to receive something. The exact amount will vary depending on your academics, but you will get something. So that might not be the most direct answer, not giving an exact number, because it really depends on where you're at. But there's a lot available there. So definitely apply if you're a senior now and you haven't submitted that application. Go ahead and get started on that. We've got our own Monmouth College app on our website. We're also on the Common App, so you can find us easily there. In addition to that, it's a free application and we're test optional. Some other questions. If you apply before Thanksgiving, when would you hear back about a decision? Well, usually within about 2 weeks. So if you submit that application and you have all of the required materials along with your application submitted too, we'll be able to review that as soon as possible and get back to you also as soon as possible. If we have good info, we don't want to hold that from you, of course. So you'll hear back pretty soon. And then at that point, of course, financial aid is what comes into play. So make sure that you have that FAFSA completed, include us on your list, and get that submitted. This is a great question here. If COVID impacted my business, how would that be viewed or reported on the FAFSA using prior information? Is there consideration for that? Jayne, how would you go about helping a family who's in this kind of situation where COVID did affect their finances?
Sure. Okay, so when you are filling out the FAFSA for the next academic year, which is fall 23, you are going to be asked to submit income information from your 2021 tax returns. So the year 2021 is the one they're looking for on the FAFSA and are automatically going to base aid on those years' income. However, whether it's COVID or whether it's an illness or an injury in the family that's caused someone to lose income, whether it's a marital change status or retirement, it could be anything that causes a family's financial situation to change drastically from one year to the next. We have an actual form here on campus that where you can indicate to us that you've had some significant changes to your income or your family situation. You will be prompted to provide us with some basic tax information and forms that might prove this and show this and illustrate this to us. And then we have the ability to go into the FAFSA and make changes to the FAFSA to make it more accurately reflect your current situation instead of the situation that you would normally be reporting on a FAFSA. So for instance, if your income was good in 21, but in 22, something went awry, then we're going to ask you to show us what your income was from 21 and 22, document things for us, and we may go into the FAFSA and overwrite some of the information to make it more accurately reflect your family's current situation so that we can base aid on that.
Yeah, and that's a great question to be asking. There's many families out there who have had some impact and maybe don't know that they can do something about that. So stay in communication with admission offices, with financial aid offices. That is super important because we do want to help you. We want to make sure that we do as much as we can to support you through this process.
Definitely do not suffer in silence. The only way I can help is if I'm aware of a situation.
This next question is referencing our scholarship competition. So if someone were to win a scholarship through that competition, would they be eligible for any other scholarships, or is that the maximum merit aid available?
Okay, so when we are competing for scholarships, we are competing for up to full tuition. So the institution would not award someone more than full tuition. So if you were to win the top scholarships and earn full tuition, we wouldn't go beyond that. But there are other levels of scholarship that students could do that might fall between full tuition and what you have now. So it might still be a bump over what you have originally been awarded in the Dean's Scholarship.
And Jane, could you talk a little bit more about that difference of something that goes towards tuition, but maybe it's not covering housing? Can you explain that a little more? I know that's a popular question that comes up, or especially around this time of year with the competition.
Okay. Typically, we are assuming that any institutional dollars that you receive are going towards the cost of tuition. However, in the state of Illinois, the Illinois MAP grant is restricted to the cost of tuition as well. So sometimes a student has the Illinois MAP grant, and we must consider that and follow the rules of the state of Illinois, since it has restrictive characteristics on that one. However, if a family qualified for instance, a federal Pell Grant or a federal SCOG grant, or they have private scholarships of some sort, those are typically available to be used for housing and for meals and miscellaneous expenses you might incur in coming to school, such as books and supplies and things like that. So again, institutional dollars and state dollars are typically going towards tuition unless you have a specific scholarship that is awarded to you for a specific other reason. Those are going towards tuition, and the federal dollars can go towards any expense that you incur.
So this next question is a little more process based. How do we receive a financial aid package? Is it by mail? Is it email? Does it go to the student, the parent? Do you log into your FAFSA account to find this information? How can students, especially those who are being accepted into Monmouth, how can they expect to receive that information?
Okay. Well, we deliver it to students in two ways, in two methods. Actually, we could do three if we want. So we do have an online portal that we provide students logins and passwords to. So they can get on and see their records at any time. And that's ongoing for their entire career at Monmouth. But there's just something about a family being able to take paper and a booklet of information and sit down around the table and discuss things as a family. This is a family decision. This is where you're going to call home for the next 4 years, right? So this is a family decision, and we just don't want families having to find that night when you all happen to be home at the same time and the internet's working and everybody's got time and the logins work. So we send things by paper as well to a family. And for instance, I have a booklet right here in front of me. So we have a booklet, the financial planning booklet, and inside will come award letters and cost calculators, out-of-pocket calculators for families, all kinds of information. This is like a 10-page booklet that provides you helpful information as you kind of walk yourself through the packet. We also scan the award letters and store them in our system. So there have been times when people are calling us to talk about it, but they left their booklet at home. And so sometimes we can scan the document. Since we already have it scanned, we can email it to the family so that they have it at their fingertips. The packages are mailed to the student in the student's name at their permanent home address, and it is on their login. Students' records are protected by privacy law, so no different than a health record. So the students can grant permissions to the parents to set up their own login and password so that the parents can also get on and see the students' records through the portal. But that's controlled by the student. But in this packet of information we give you all the instructions for how to do that as well. And the good news, the first packages were mailed this week. The first large group of batches are out this week, and I'm working on the next batch, so we'll probably have some more going out tomorrow, and then probably another batch still before Thanksgiving. So if
Yeah,
you
If we have any accepted students watching us tonight, if you got your FAFSA in a while ago and you were accepted a while ago, make sure to watch that mailbox because you could be receiving your financial aid package here pretty soon.
Right. I guess that's the key, Brock, is that you could give us a FAFSA, but if you haven't applied and been admitted to the college, I'm just sort of sitting on that FAFSA waiting for you to be admitted so that I can send your financial aid package. On the flip side, if you applied and were admitted to the college, but you haven't given me the FAFSA yet, I'm waiting on that. And so if you can go to that fafsa.ed.gov site or studentaid.gov, I'm sorry, they keep changing the website on me, studentaid.gov site and submit your FAFSA to Monmouth so I get the results, then we can pair up your admission and your financial aid together and get you a package really quickly. Usually, if you are an admitted student and I get your FAFSA on a Monday, I could have your package out before Friday. It's pretty quick.
They're all pros over there. They deserve a round of applause all the time.
We have a seasoned group.
Yes. This next question is fairly related to what we were just talking about here. Do you get your scholarship amount with your acceptance package? Yes, you will find out what scholarship you are receiving when you are accepted. So you will get a nice big envelope in the mail. If you see that shortly after you applied, it might mean some good news. But in there, it will explain what scholarship amount you have received. And again, that would be a dean scholarship. So if you are accepted, you will receive some aid in that form. And you will also most likely get a phone call from your specific admission counselor. It could be me if I'm any of your admission counselor. You'll get a phone call from me, and I'll let you know right then too. But yes, you will get that both with your acceptance once you find out about that, and it will of course be included on that financial aid package that you get as well.
Now, Brock is being modest when he says you'll get some good news. Let me just
A lot
give
of
you
good
a
news.
ballpark range. Academic scholarships range from 22,000 to 29,000. So it's not just some good news. You get a chunk of good news. So
Yeah, I guess I buried the lead there. Yes, it will be a significant amount for you. So it's in recognition of the hard work that you put in. So it's because of what you've done, and we just get the pleasure to award it to you and let you know that you've got something really great coming. Next question here. My daughter has been invited to apply for the presidential scholarship. Congratulations. How could she best prepare for the interview day? I'll take that one. It's a fun but also really long day. So I would say the best thing to do is just not think too much about it. The interviews themselves will be with two of our college community members. It may be staff members, faculty, but they are there to learn a little bit more about your student. And nobody knows that student better than themselves. So go into it feeling confident. You know all of the answers already. And that's the best advice that I might have about that. But of course, connect with your admission counselor. We can help you kind of think through what does this look like, especially if this might be the first time going into an interview. Talk to us. We'll help you out. But be confident in knowing that you have all of the answers already. So another question here. This person is curious about the ROI of a Monmouth degree, and also asking about average debt, what kind of jobs are out there. So, Jayne, could you speak a little bit to this? You mentioned earlier you are an alum of the college. You have had children go through the college. You've seen this firsthand. Can you talk a little bit about what this degree does for our students and how it helps them be financially ready for the world once they graduate?
sure. I'll try to do that as a mom and as an alum, I guess.
You have a unique perspective.
Yes, I was here as a student My husband and I have educated 5 children of our own, 2 of which chose to also attend Monmouth, 3 who chose other schools. And that's only because they didn't want to literally go to school where mom and dad work. So, um, you
We'll
know,
give them a pass.
I'll give them a pass. Everybody has to spread their wings, and it's easy to come home. Let me say that education opens doors, right? That's what we want as parents, to provide our students with opportunity, to provide them an environment where they're safe to explore their interest, where they can learn and develop themselves as individuals beyond what they were able to do under our roofs as parents. We tend to keep our children sheltered, and this is their opportunity to go off to school and really explore. Um, Personally, I think that Monmouth goes beyond just teaching. It's not about the facts that I learned or the things that I memorized. It's it's the nurturing environment that teaches students how to learn so that you can be a lifelong learner. And that's what I experienced as a student. That's what I saw in the 2 children that came here. Some of the most rewarding conversations I had with my children, where they would leave class and they would come to my office and just sit down and explore further what they had just talked about in class and ask my opinion, which was shocking. But more importantly, they were opening their eyes and forming their own opinions. They weren't just parroting what someone else had told them or what they had heard or what they had read, but it taught them in an environment to form their own opinions. And I think that's what every parent's dream should be for their children, so that when you graduate, you are prepared for the unknown number of careers that you're going to have in your lifetime, right? It, I don't even know if the exact number, but students are going to have at least 5 or 6 different careers in their life, and they don't always have to be in related fields. They can jump around, and I think that's what's so nice about the liberal arts arena here, is that we we expose students to a variety of classes with a variety of backgrounds, but we sort of take the blinders off. We don't let them come in so focused on one topic and one subject that they become an expert in that, but they know nothing else. We instead want our students to grow and develop into the leaders, so that you might be the supervisor and you hire a bunch of specialists under you, but we want you to be the person who can see the broad picture. That's what I think Monmouth does exceptionally well here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and we see it paying off for our especially recent graduates too. So to give you a numbers idea here, 98% of our graduates within 6 months of graduation are placed. That means they are either in graduate school. So if you're thinking of med school, going off to get a law degree, getting those master's degrees, they're at that stage right away. Or they're employed or in the military or service areas, and they're starting to get those paychecks. They're starting those careers. So they get to that next step very quickly after graduation. Many of those students even know by the time that they walk across the stage, they have that next step lined up. So we do a very good job of making sure that the students are not just successful in their 4 years here, but they're also ready and going to be successful for whatever that next step is too. Next question, how are you invited to the scholarship interviews? Do you have to apply by a certain date? Great question. So the application deadline for this would be January 15th. That's our priority scholarship deadline. So please make sure that if you are interested in potentially qualifying for this, to get all of your information in soon. I recommend doing that earlier than that deadline, though, because that is also the deadline to sign up for the scholarship competition and have your materials submitted. So if you do that before winter break, that would be the best, because it gives you the most time to have all of your materials submitted, lets us review the application, and get back to you with an invitation if you qualify. To give you an idea of what qualifies, if you have a 3.6 GPA or higher, you will qualify for this competition. And that is something that can be a weighted GPA too. I think I might have seen that question in here. So that is the guideline for that. When we review your app, if you fall under that group and you qualify, we will let you know. And we'll probably let you know a few times because we want you to have this opportunity and take part in it. But we will make sure that you know that you qualify and have all the information to do so. Next question. We included Monmouth in our FAFSA application. How will I know if you've received the information that you need? Well, you could ask us first. You are always welcome to reach out to your admission counselor. We will be able to see if that information has been received. It is important to know that there is a slight delay between when you submit your FAFSA and when we receive that information from the government. So that timeline can vary. It could be a week, it could be a few days. Usually, Jane mentioned earlier, we might get that information on Monday, and then from there, if everything is good, we can get you packaged later that week. That's if everything goes well, of course. Sometimes we might need some more information with that. And so, Jane, I'll just ask this question. What if someone files their FAFSA and they get a message back from you or back from me that says, hey, it looks like we need a little bit more information? What does that mean?
Sure. Sometimes the federal government will randomly select approximately 30% of the FAFSA filers for a process known as verification, which is just a fancy word for audit. They're going to check the accuracy, and they're not going to do it. They're going to flag the FAFSA, and we're going to have to check the accuracy. So there are approximately, again, 30% of you who will randomly get a letter from us that says, we've received your FAFSA, but it appears we need a few other things. And the federal government, depending on the flags they add, will determine what types of information we need to check. Typically, we need to check the number of people in your household. So we give you what's called a verification worksheet where you can list members of your household and indicate those who are in college. And it typically requires that we collect tax returns for the parent and the student if the student filed. Now, if you filed a FAFSA and you linked to the IRS from within the FAFSA and you already linked your taxes and it pulled that information in automatically, we don't have to request those. We can see that it was already linked and it came direct from the IRS. But if you didn't use that feature of the FAFSA, then we're going to ask you for taxes and a verification worksheet. Once you provide that to us, and you can email it to us, you can take a picture and upload it to us through the portal, you can send it by fax, you can whichever method you feel the most comfortable with, and you get us that information, then we review the FAFSA, make sure that the information on the FAFSA matches the information that you're providing us on the tax returns and the verification worksheet, and then we quickly proceed to a financial aid package. If there are some corrections that need to be made, we go in and make those corrections for you. We don't tell you have to make them. We make them for you if it's possible for us to do that. And then we submit a correction for your FAFSA. It reprocesses, recalculates, and then we still package immediately. So again, the sooner you can get us the information and respond to our requests, the quicker we get everything out to you.
And Jane mentions the portal, and so I want to talk a little bit more about that. So when you are accepted into Monmouth College, you will shortly after receive information to log into your self-service portal. This is where you'll be able to find the information that Jane was just talking about. So if your FAFSA was flagged for verification and there's additional documents or information needed, you'll be able to see exactly what that is, along with a description to help you understand, okay, what do I need to find? What do I submit? How do I do that? So all that information will be in there. But again, you're always welcome to reach out to us. We are more than happy to walk you through that process, connect you to the people that might be able to help you most, so we can do anything that we can to get you through that process. We know it can be confusing. We know, it's not fun to fill out government forms. So if we can do anything to make that process a little bit smoother for you, we want to do that.
The other thing that I would say real quickly is that if you want to contact your admission counselor, that's great. You can do that. You can reach our financial aid office at an email is FinAid. So it's FINAID at monmouthcollege.edu. Or you can phone us, and our number into the financial aid office is 309 457 2129.
Yes,
And
reach out to us.
We'd be happy to be able to just confirm for you if that's all that you need is to confirm that we have your FAFSA.
So our next student here, they say they've got a scholarship here and applied. What do I do now? Well, congratulations if you've been accepted already. The next important step, of course, is to file your FAFSA. So file that free application for federal student aid so we can start working on your financial aid package. So that would be your next step. And along with that, come out and visit the campus if you haven't already. Talk to us, ask all those questions that are in the back of your mind so we can help you make that decision of, is this the right school for me? So those are your next steps. Is there a limit to the amount of external scholarships I can earn? That's a great question. Jane, is there a limit to the amount of external scholarships someone can earn?
No. I mean, just keep applying. If you're having success, great for you. Let me say it this way. We have had students in the past who have been so successful in pursuing private scholarships that when they combined our money with the state and federal and their private scholarships, they covered all their costs, they covered their books, they covered all their miscellaneous personal expenses, bought the computer, did everything. So no, there's not a limit. If you do go over what the federal government calls is the annual limit, then it really becomes taxable income to you. But the first $57,000, $57,886 is tax free. So if you can get over $57,000 or getting close to 58,000, then good for you. Keep going. And if possible, if you have that much private funding coming in, then we just look at how do we space it out so that you can benefit from it in subsequent years and not try to use it all in one year.
Yeah, definitely look for those private scholarships. Those will be the most beneficial for you. I don't know if we've really mentioned it directly, but Jane is talking about this right now. You can use that to cover basically everything. That's because we stack our scholarships. So in addition to the Dean's Scholarship that you receive by being accepted into a school, if you have one of those external scholarships, it'll be added on top of that. So we won't reduce our aid to you. We will increase it with what you have brought in. So that is most beneficial to you directly.
Right.
So yes, look for those. The next question is asking about this. How do we find scholarships? So earlier we were mentioning that there are scholarship websites out there, places like FastWeb, Scholly. You can look those up. They are scholarship search websites. So you can create a profile, and it will help you find scholarships that match with you. A very good resource is your school counselor at your high school or any advisors at your community college. They will have information about especially more local scholarships, things that maybe fewer students are eligible for and could apply for. So something important to think of is if you found it online, so can anyone else, right? But if you have a local scholarship that is only for students maybe at your high school or in your geographic area, less can apply for that. So definitely look in all of those places, talk to those people who are supporting you at your current school, and you'll be able to find a lot of opportunities that way. But the first thing, of course, is that you have to put that effort in. So as long as you put that effort in, you're going to know that you have the resources at your fingertips. Next question. This is a really important one. Can you save money by getting an apartment off campus? So the easy way to answer this is no. We're a residential school. It's part of our identity. Over 90% of all of our students live on campus for all 4 years. The very small percentage of students that don't would be considered commuters. And to be a commuter, you will be living at home with your family. So that is the only way that a student, maybe not the only way, but the main way that a student would be living off campus. Um, uh, Other reasons, if you don't know too much about Monmouth yet, we're in a small town. You're not really going to find the apartment buildings all over with availability. So you are at least guaranteed housing on campus. So you don't have to worry about that. So short answer, no, you'll be on campus. But again, that's why you want to file that FAFSA, get those scholarships, go through all of these processes, because we're doing what we can to help make that out-of-pocket cost much more affordable for you. So go through that whole process, have conversations with us, and we'll make sure that you know all the details for yourself because it's going to be, of course, different for everyone too.
I would add just Brock, just briefly, that we talked a little bit about the fact that my husband and I educated 5 children, and 2 of them went to Monmouth. Um, I literally live 1 block from campus, and I'm surrounded on my block by other faculty and staff who live in those blocks as well. So just off campus here is not an apartment series or apartment rows like it is at large universities. They're private homes where your faculty and your staff are living. Um, but the important thing for me as a parent is that I wanted my child to have the full experience. And part of growing and part of developing as a young person is living outside my house and learning to manage your time wisely and learning to be responsible about getting up and getting to class and getting to your food and getting to all of those things that um, just young people need to develop those skills before they really truly are out on their own. And so I think if a student doesn't live on campus, they're missing out on a great opportunity and a great growth opportunity as well.
Yes, as someone who commuted to the college they went to, one of my regrets is that I commuted to the college I went to and I didn't live there because I did miss out on a lot of that. So that is part of the experience at Monmouth since we are a residential school, that a lot of the learning and the activity happens outside of the classroom. And so if you are there, you're going to do better academically, you're going to do better socially because, if you're rolling out of bed a little late, okay, we'll walk next door, you're in class already. Or if it's 8 o'clock at night and you're working on your homework and you're thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, there's probably a tutoring session happening next door and you can go to that easily. So everything is so much more accessible if you're on campus. You're always going to see, the fun events that are happening. You're going to follow your roommate out to those. You're going to see everyone leaving, going to some activity. You might see people out on the quad. So you get more involved too. So students living on college campuses do better academically and socially because they're always there. They aren't able to really get away from it, which is a good thing because it gets you more involved. It gives you all those experiences. So my recommendation, live on campus if you can. You're going to get so much more out of this experience. Next question here. Are you able to share the average scholarship amount that a student might receive at Monmouth? And are they renewable annually?
Okay. Um, what I shared a little bit earlier was that we have academic scholarships based on academic credentials of students. What your performance in high school or junior college has been, and we are test optional. So some students provide us a standardized test score for ACT, SAT. Others don't. They choose not to. But our academic scholarship piece of the package ranges from 22,000 to 29,000 per year, and those are renewable each year. So they are guaranteed that you will have at least that much in scholarship every year. Now, as a returning student, the name of your scholarship may change. It may start as a dean's scholarship and it may be funded by a particular donor. So it may carry a different name and carry the name of the donor or the organization that the donor wanted to highlight. Um, but you are guaranteed that dollar amount, at least that much every year. And there is not a GPA requirement um, to maintain that scholarship. And that's important to me because nothing that I put in a piece of paper, in a letter to you that requires you to meet a GPA requirement, nothing like that is going to motivate you as a student. Your motivation comes from within. If you've always been a great student, you're going to continue to be a great student. It's how you're made. And so when we award these scholarships, it really is based on your past performance because that helps predict what your future behavior is going to be, and you're going to deserve that scholarship moving forward.
It's also really good because it lifts a little bit of stress off of you, especially in that first year, because it is going to be a difficult year. It's college level classes. You might have moved away from home. You're making new friends. It's a lot of new things for you. And maybe you get your first low grade. Be okay knowing that your scholarship's not going to go away. It's still there. Learn from that, grow, you're going to do better. It's still there for you. I always see that as a really big positive with the way those scholarships work. Next question. What kind of campus jobs are available for students to work while they're going to college?
Literally, you could name anything, and we probably have a student working in that role. They are employed all over campus. They are employed as Scott ambassadors in the admission office and give tours to visiting students. So if you come to campus and schedule a visit, you're going to get a tour by a student who's being paid to do that. You could go swimming and be have a lifeguard that's being paid. The students that are all at all of the activities and all of the, sporting events, that are line judges for volleyball and that are ticket takers at basketball and are um, doing something in the press box for a football game. All of those are student workers being paid across campus. The RAs and head residents, the resident assistants and head residents in the residence halls are student paid employees. Office workers are student paid employees. Lab assistants, tutors, academic coaches, foreign language tutors, library hires a whole bunch of them. The art gallery hires a bunch. Literally, we have students all over campus. If you are interested in seeing the types of jobs that we have on campus, I encourage you to go to our website. And if you click into the financial aid section, you can then click into student employment and work study. And all of our jobs are listed online. And when we fill the positions, we don't take the ad down. We simply post that the position's been filled. That allows future students to consider what jobs are available on campus. If we took the positions down as soon as they were filled, it would look like we had no jobs. So we purposely leave them up there so that you can see exactly that, what's available here.
So as the person who hires and pays and leads all of our Scout ambassadors in the admission office, I can let you know that the posting for that is always on the website. And so students who are interested can always find the information of how to apply, when might it be open, who to contact, me, and I'll get emails throughout the year from interested students and can help them through the process. Here's when we'll start accepting applications. Here's what to do, and so look for that if you want a campus job. You'll be able to find a lot of really great information that way. I've got a few questions here that are related to athletics, so we'll answer those really quick. First is, do student athletes get paid? Student athletes could be paid through a campus job, like one that Jane mentioned. So if you're maybe in the off season, I know that the athletics office likes to hire their athletes to work their events. So maybe you are those line judges or you're working in the booth. So you could in that way, but you're not being paid to be an athlete, if that makes sense. And that goes into the second question here that we have. Do you have athletic scholarships? So we are an NCAA Division III school, which means we do not have athletic scholarships. We're not allowed to give those out. But on the opposite side, you will be eligible for sizable dean scholarships, going up to, again, $29,000 per year. So athletics doesn't have any special monetary things happening for them. You will still be qualified for all of the scholarships that every student qualifies for. Would you add anything to that, Jane?
No, I maybe just a little. um, the NCAA does put this restriction on Division III schools, but they go a step further. They audit us every year just to make sure that we are not giving a disproportionate amount of aid to athletes that we don't give to every other student. So I can guarantee that we don't. That falls on my shoulders. But more importantly, I think we are sort of um, not stressing enough how much additional funding is available. We're talking about academic scholarships as the first piece of an aid package, and those range up to 29,000. But that's just the academic piece. We also have scholarship opportunities that are talent based. We also have need-based grants. So we're looking at the results of the FAFSA and interpreting what the government's opinion is about your family's situation. We're trying to determine what else you qualify for from federal and state sources, but there is an astronomical amount of funding that is awarded on this campus in the form of need-based grants to our students. And we have a very diverse campus on here, a diverse group of students on our campus. So some families have been very fortunate and they don't necessarily have financial need. Other families have had some hard times, particularly with COVID, and are qualifying for more need-based funding. But I just don't want people to think or hear that the Dean's Scholarship is the only thing we have. We have significant institutional funding for those families that need it.
Yes, and again, it's so important to file that FAFSA so you are setting yourself up for the most aid possible for you. I always field questions from families who say, "Oh, we're not going to get anything. We're just going to go without filing the FAFSA," and that's okay. You don't have to, but you might as well, because you never know if maybe you do qualify this year. Maybe something happened in your financial situation that changed where you fall in the eyes of the government. So it doesn't hurt you to file that FAFSA with Monmouth. It can only potentially help you if you qualify for something, because you're going to get that way. If you don't file a FAFSA, you guaranteed that you can't get anything additional in the form of need-based aid. So definitely file that FAFSA. This student has been accepted and got the Dean Scholarship. Congratulations to you. Very exciting. Next question, do you have single dorms for freshmen? We have a very limited amount of single rooms available on our campus, and many of those will go to students who have a need for them. So that could be a medical accommodation, potentially a religious accommodation. So we try to have those given to students with that need first. And if there are any left over after that, it's possible. But for the most part, the majority of our students will have a roommate with them. So that is important to note there.
I would stress here that sometimes the thing that makes the first few weeks of a new campus where you know no one bearable is your roommate. Right? You have that person. You're not alone. You're not walking into the cafeteria by yourself because you have this buddy. Where you choose to live in future semesters or future years is certainly up to the student. But personally, I think it helps students get acclimated and have a build a buddy system and start to know other people because you're networking. You're going to class and meeting people, your roommate's going to class and meeting people. You're all coming back and getting to know each other's classmates, and pretty soon you know the whole campus.
Yeah, it's good to have that roommate because it's like your built-in friend right away, and you build off of that person. So that's kind of what you can expect there. Is it free to apply, and is there a deadline? Yes, and yes. It is a free application. You do not have to pay to apply to Monmouth College. And there are a couple of deadlines. So our first deadline was actually yesterday. That was our early action deadline. The next one, and I think one of the most important deadlines, is January 15th for our priority scholarship deadline. So if you apply by then, I recommend applying a little bit earlier than that deadline. But if you get everything in, we're able to review your application and you are accepted. If you qualify for our scholarship competition, we'll let you know and we'll send you an invitation and you'll be able to compete in that for up to full tuition scholarships. So that is a very important one that's coming up. I would say go ahead and start working on that application now if you're interested. Don't wait. It's a very simple application. You can do it on your cell phone if you wanted to right after this chat, of course. Don't leave us. But you can do that after, and we'll be able to get back to you very quickly. So yes, it is free to apply, and there are some deadlines. After that January 15th deadline, the next would be rolling admission on April 1st. So that will be much further in the future here, but that time will go very quickly, so don't wait. Go ahead and start that now. I've received a scholarship and plan to swim for the team. Awesome. I've already visited, but can I visit again to commit in person? We would absolutely love if you came to campus and committed in person. Please do so. Sign up for that right now. We've got plenty of times on the calendar. If you're talking to coach, you can work on that with them. Talk to your admission counselor. We can get you signed up too. But yes, we would absolutely love for you to come back to campus and celebrate in person with us. That would be awesome. When do we get our admission letters? So if you have applied and we've received all of the information that's required, so transcripts or test scores or anything else, you will be able to hear back from us usually within 2 weeks. So it shouldn't be too long. If you applied a while ago and you haven't heard back about your decision, we might be missing something. So make sure you're checking your email, you're checking your phone calls, your text messages. We'll be reaching out to you to let you know if anything is missing, and we'll be able to keep you up to date. If you're not seeing any of that and you're wondering, I don't know what's going on, reach out to us and we'll give you an answer right away. What is the single best thing you can do to prepare for college cost in your senior year? That's a great question, Jane. What do you think is the
Oh,
single best thing you can do?
single best thing that you can do in your senior year. So if you haven't done anything until now, then I would say the best thing you could do is be searching for private scholarships. Get to know your guidance counselor, know where those local scholarships are coming, get on the FastWeb and the MyScholarly and those kinds of search sites and file the FAFSA, because those combination of things are going to find you the best sources of aid. If you, aside from searching for scholarships, what you could do at this late date, for some students, you're so involved, you're not working, right? You're so actively involved in school activities, and it's great to be a kid. Don't enter the workforce any faster than you have to. But if you can work just a little bit, if you can work a little bit in the summer after your senior year before you come off to college, anything that you can stash in cash before you get to college will just make your college experience easier. It'll take some pressure off. Maybe you won't have to find a job right away when you get to college because you've got some cash in your pocket and you don't need to work while in that first semester while you're getting acclimated to campus. So I would do those things.
Yeah, I don't know if that was one single thing,
No,
but we'll let it
I
pass.
can't do just one.
Yeah, when it comes to financial aid, there's not just one thing. If I were to say one thing, it's to do all the things. Don't sit back and let it pass you by. Make sure that you're active. Make sure that you are advocating for yourself. You're talking to the people you need to. You're asking questions. You're doing something really great right now. You're on this chat. You're getting information, so that is perfect. But make sure that you are paying attention and you know, making those things happen. It's not going to just appear. You have to do something. So be active.
Right.
And I think that is all or almost all of our questions. Oh, there's one last one on here asking about dorms again. How many are climate controlled air conditioning? About
Oh,
50,
half.
50, yeah. Yeah, and the residence halls that don't have the air conditioning are typically for underclass students or first year students. So you have that opportunity once you get past that first year to be in upper class housing or premium housing. So there are some options there. So it looks like we've got just a few minutes here. Let's recap very quickly that process for financial aid and of course applying to Monmouth College. So I'll start with the application and then I'll move to Jane for financial aid. We'll see how quickly we can do this. So first off, fill out that application. You have two options, our Monmouth College app on our website, or you can use the common application. It is a free application and we are also test optional. Once you have submitted all required materials, so transcripts would be required for all students, and then if you apply test optional, you don't have to submit test scores. But if you apply not test optional, you do plan to submit those, so get those in. So those are the two things. Essays, recommendation letters, personal statements, those are optional. Once everything's received, we will review. You will hear back from us within about 2 weeks, and you will also at that time hear about your Dean Scholarship, which again can go up to $29,000 per year. From that point, we move on to the financial aid side of things. So Jane, what is the next step?
Sure. The next step would be that if you have not already filed the federal application at studentaid.gov, that you do so. For some students, we already have the FAFSA. We're waiting on them to be admitted. For some students, they're already admitted. We're waiting on the FAFSA. When we get the combination of the two, when you get admitted to the college and we have the results of your FAFSA, we can build a financial aid package. We typically are downloading from the federal government. The FAFSA results come to us electronically. We typically are pulling those in every Monday. And if you're in that batch and you're already admitted and the FAFSA looks correct, oftentimes we can get the package out that week. We're sending out packages every Friday and then turning around and pulling in the next batch of FAFSA results the next week. So I would encourage you to get on the studentaid.gov site, list Monmouth College. Our code on the FAFSA is 001725, or you can search us by name and state. When you add us to the FAFSA, the results come to us. If you file the FAFSA and forget to put Monmouth on it, you can go back into your FAFSA and make a correction and get our code on it so that it comes to us, so that the correction comes to us.
And look at that. The whole admission financial aid process in roughly
about a minute and a half.
And we make it sound very easy, but I know you will have questions. So please reach out to us if you have questions. Call your admission counselor, call the financial aid office. We're happy to help you with that. And of course, don't forget to come out and visit campus too. So thanks again for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you all. Good night.